in the end, but yeah. So hello everybody, welcome back to Sending Ravens. Today I have a very special guest, Will
Burlinghoff.
Will, everybody knows on my channel that I say words wrong, so Will Burlinghoff. And he's actually here with us, originally a Calgarian, but has recently returned back from 8 years, is it?
8 years.
In Australia.
Right.
So we're so happy to have him back in Calgary. And the story about how him and I met, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'd like, Will, I would really like to hear from your words how you got to be known as a channeler, known as a reader. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, that all started a long time ago when I was in school here in Calgary. 14 years old, I read a story about the tarot. And I was absolutely fascinated. It took about 5 more years, but I finally got my first deck, and it wasn't the one I wanted. And I looked around and found the Rider-Waite in Paris of all places.
Oh my goodness.
And then I started just doing the cards. At first I did it with the little pamphlet, you know, you get in the box. And I was getting really bored with that. And so I started going, okay, I know what it says here, but this is what I'm picking up. And so that's how I started just to do it on my own. For 16 years, I just did it for friends and things like that. And then in 86, I was living in England at the time. I decided I'm going to do this professionally. And I had my first readings and I charged all of £5, which was about $10.
Wow.
At the time. But I thought, I'm asking a lot of money here. I hope this isn't bad news here that I'm asking so much. But anyway, it progressed and progressed. And I did the more professional readings. And then in 1992, I actually came back to Calgary for a holiday. And I went to New Age Books and Crystals. At that time, it was Val Vetican was the owner. And I read for her. She said, okay, you want to do readings here? You better read for me first. And I thought that was good. So I did. And I wound up doing 2 more readings that evening for people.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, you're in.
You're in. Start right now.
Exactly. So that started my connection with New Age Books and Crystals. And so I was just doing tarot for a long time. I did tarot basically for 30 years. Before I ever came to be a channel. Now the story behind that is that I was already a member of an organization called Cosmic Awareness Communications out of the United States, Olympia, Washington, as a member. And there was a man who was channeling cosmic awareness at that time.
So the channel itself is called Cosmic Awareness?
Cosmic Awareness. It's
we'll
actually
have that
a collective.
Below.
Yeah. It's a collective. It's not an entity. And so I was a member for a long time. But in 2000, and then I became their tarot reader for the organization. And in 2005, I was asked to do a channeling for the year coming up, 2006. By this time, the man that had been doing the channeling of cosmic awareness, and incidentally, I should add, cosmic awareness is allegedly the same force that spoke through Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. Okay? So it's been around for a while. It adapts to the individual, but it's been around as a source for a long time. So I did this reading for the year ahead, and I thought I'm just going to wing it. And all of a sudden, cosmic awareness came through. And I'm going, okay. I was a bit overwhelmed at first.
I bet.
You know, been a member for I don't know how many years. And then suddenly I was able to, wasn't suddenly, I should say that. It was a long drawn out process. 30 years of being a tarot reader, channeling through the cards, all of that. I was preparing. And I don't know how many other lifetimes as well.
Exactly. It is like that,
And so that was the start of it. And I then became the channel for that organization, CAC, or Cosmic Awareness Communication. And I did that for a number of years until I parted company with them. And I started with my partner then, Callista in Australia. We started our own website. And that's called Rainbow Phoenix. And that's
Rainbow Phoenix.
Rainbow Phoenix is the name of the site.
And is that site available on YouTube, or it is? Okay.
It's not so much YouTube. It's that it is an independent website. So you can get to it. Just type in Rainbow Phoenix.
Good. We'll have that below as well. Okay. Now, Will and I met very synchronistically. very recently, actually, even though we're both Calgarians. And one of my family members, my sister Barb, who's now passed on, owned the New Age books. And Will actually worked at the New Age books, as he mentioned earlier. So what happened was I got an email from a woman, Callista, who turns out to be Will's partner, and very recently they parted ways, but in a good way, loving way. Yes. But they were partners. And I got a message from her on an email, and she said, you got to check out this, I believe it was a voice pod. So it would have been from your channel.
Yeah.
Rainbow Phoenix?
No, it was from, it's a group that we get together once a week. It's called the Bill, Will, Phil, and Callista Chat.
Okay. Bill, Will, Phil, and Callista Chat.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, actually. She sent me a link, and she mentioned to me that my name was mentioned, and she just wanted to share that with me. So that was my first contact with Callista. And then she wrote me to tell me that Will was actually moving to Calgary, and he was actually a Calgarian from way back, and had the conversation started going back and forth, and it turned out he'd worked at the New Age books. And as soon as I heard that, my family owned the New Age books, or members of my family, and I worked there for years and built my whole clientele. But it turns out that Will and I just narrowly missed each other. So you were just exiting, and I was coming in about what, 6 months or a year later. So right around late 90s.
Late 90s, 97, 98.
Yeah, and I would have been just coming in. So we didn't actually work together, but we know a lot of people in common.
Absolutely.
Wow. So the New Age books is also where Guy, if you guys remember, I started Tarot by Janine channel, and Guy was a big part of it and still is in the background. He also worked at the New Age books for many years. So it's all so interesting. It's really a small world.
It is.
It really is. But the thing that I loved, when I first heard the voice pod, the first one that I was sent, I loved what you guys were talking about. I'm like, there's a whole group of people, men and women, and they're talking about the very same things I talk about on my channel, and all sort of my red-pilled friends talk about. And I was like, that is so exciting. I got to talk to this guy. We got to connect. So here we are. And I wanted to share because I really wanted to have a chat with Will about some of the things that are going on in the world today. So let's start with having a little smudge, just so we get the clearest energy, and just see what we come up with. Because I'm pretty sure you can help people that have been watching me for a while just understand things a little better.
Absolutely. And as you know, Janine, through our discussions, I too studied shamanic studies for 9 years. Was part of the group.
Yep.
And so smudging is very natural to me. Take a bit of grounding.
Right.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent. Thank you.
So that was another thing that we had in common. Not just the New Age books, but both of us had studied Indigenous, well, so many ways you could say it, but Native medicine, I say.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's how I say it.
Right. And, you know, all of that combined to become the draw when you're contacting someone, as we did.
Yep.
Like part of my story of what you were telling the audience about our meeting was I was already in Calgary.
Yep.
And Callista had done a search, worldwide search. She wanted to find a tarot reader.
Yep.
And she came upon you. And she was so excited about how you were red-pilling people in your work.
Yeah.
And what we were doing, and she wanted to get in touch with you. She did.
Yeah.
And then she's telling me on a conversation we're having on the phone, this woman lives in Canada. I'm going, well, what would it be if she lived in Calgary? And she goes down, she lives in Calgary.
And it all, is going from there. Yeah.
So that was synchronicity.
It is. It truly is. Yeah. Now, the first thing I wanted to ask, Will, is what are your thoughts about where we're sitting right now? I'm talking about the plandemic. We're going to call it the plandemic. And just all of the kinds of measures that are being taken by all the governments. Let's just start your version of what's going on. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, first of all, I would start by saying it's not artificial, it's not false. There is something that is a virus.
Yep.
Where I begin to disagree with them is the effectiveness of it, or how potent and powerful it is, especially since I've watched them in step-by-step procedures here and when I was still in Australia. Introduce these lockdowns, introduce these methods that they're destroying people's livelihoods, their mental health and well-being by locking them down. And I knew, because I've been involved in this whole area of conspiracy for over 40 years. So I saw it. I could see it very clearly, what they're doing. The frustration for me is when you try to tell other people about it.
Oh, I know.
And they're going, no, my doctor wouldn't lie to me, and our health physicians and experts wouldn't lie, and our wonderful Prime Minister wouldn't lie.
That's the funniest thing.
And the thing that I realized right straight on was that this is part of an orchestrated plan that very much includes America and the election and Donald Trump and the deep state, or whatever you want to call them, and a worldwide action to try to bring down humanity ultimately. Ultimately. This is real Agenda 21 stuff.
It is,
Really is. And if you can affect people by putting them in that much fear, then you can control them that much easier.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I see here.
And we've definitely we've come to all of those things. Yes. I agree. So we're completely in agreement, Will.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes. Now, have you been channeling those energies on this subject at all?
Yes.
What kind of input are they saying? Pretty much the same thing you just said? Or?
Pretty much. Sometimes they give it a little bit more insight. Like when we do the Bill, Will, Phil, and Callista chat, it's a long one, the chat. Often we are talking about the details of what's happening and what has been the recent and everything. But I always then try to escalate it to the spiritual. Because more than anything, I am a spiritually inclined individual who's accepted that I'm of source. And that I am not a puppet. That would be entirely wrong. But am participating willingly in the unfolding of consciousness. And that is what's really taking place. So we can definitely get stuck in at the detail level of things and say this is what they're doing, etc. But what's the bigger picture? This is not a random action. This is an intended action.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard your shows a few times. I love your shows.
Oh, thanks.
They're great.
Right on.
I think, she's hit that one. Another hit out of the park. But what I'm saying here is that if this is a bigger picture, then what is the plan behind it? The plan is to awaken humanity. We have been dominated, enslaved, used, abused, and much worse. Not for a few decades, not for a few hundred years, but literally thousands of years.
I think you're right about that.
You can track it down all the way to Babylon and the 13 families out of northern Italy. And now we have the 13 families, and you've heard that stuff already. But what if there's an intent and purpose? What if this experiment in dualistic thinking, where the dark ones had bigger control, is ending, or has even ended? And what we're seeing is the tail ends of a collapse that isn't, at this point, observable by most. They just don't get it. But when we look deeper, I think we are seeing the hand of God here. Or both hands, and maybe both feet too, who knows?
Wow.
So that's where I'm trying to direct it through the channeling, through the talks and the interviews. I do a monthly thing for our members every month, worldwide. We come together and I channel directly for them. And so awareness has talked about, and I often say awareness versus cosmic awareness, but awareness is often talked about the bigger picture and how Donald Trump is part of that bigger picture.
And that's interesting because a lot of people would disagree with us there. They just can't see how a guy like Donald Trump would be sort of chosen or spiritually somehow placed. But spirit doesn't always, it chooses the right channel for exactly what it needs. And I believe Donald Trump has the right sort of fortitude of character and sort of even ego presence that he could actually get away with and tolerate sort of the abuse he's had in the mainstream media for the last 4 years. That's what I started out not liking him myself because I was really not red-pilled a year ago. No way. I mean, in some areas I was, but certainly not about Donald Trump. And then I started to realize through the card readings that actually he's a good guy and he's somehow doing something that's bigger than himself.
Yes.
So he's chosen and they're using him, sort of utilizing him or channeling through him maybe?
One thing I would add, channeling through him is closer to it.
Okay.
I think he is totally aware.
Okay.
I think he knows what the big picture is. I think he has gotten information, and this is where people start to go, oh my God, this guy is crazy. He has gotten information from the future. Just today I was listening to your program, I think it was today's Freaky Friday.
Deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive.
Deep dive Fridays.
Deep dive.
With
where
Ashley.
you're talking about time traveling and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that the ones that were in power for so long used to do it.
Yeah.
And I was given through Cosmic Awareness the information several years ago even that's been taken from them. There, you mentioned a missing piece. Well, they used to have it. They used to do the time traveling type thing so they could coordinate their efforts and choose the time tracks that would take them where they wanted to go as a collective.
Yeah.
And that was taken from them in some kind of divine intervention. And now the White Hatters actually are the ones that can time travel either through the looking glass technology or they have people who actually can project their consciousness forward and go to the future and check things out and come back and say, we better not go down that path.
Right.
So why is it, people have been asking in the last few weeks, that Donald Trump's so calm about it? That he doesn't seem to be bothered.
He does seem really calm for a guy who's being just ripped to shreds in the media, made a joke of. If anyone's still watching the mainstream media, and I know our audience is largely red-pilled, right? Or we'd alienated them already if they weren't. I mean, it's so obvious, right? Because we've been stepping on some toes.
Yes.
But the mainstream media is still, got this Biden's the winner and Trump just has to concede. And meanwhile, Trump's playing golf and, doing things that he's doing. Now, there is something, Will, that I really wanted to ask what your opinion of this is. I just recently heard, and I sent it to you this morning, but you might not have had a chance to listen.
I listened to it.
Right? What do you think of the take that possibly they're going to go all the way to Inauguration Day, let Biden actually get to that day and then take him down in a big arrest? Like that seems really nerve-wracking to me. I don't know if I could stand it. I was going to ask what your opinion of that was.
I did.
What do you think
On that. I thought, wow, that would be dramatic.
Yeah.
That would be
That's a little bit too dramatic.
In terms of optics, you're going to hit him hard.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think they'll leave it to the last moment. I think they might stop Biden in his tracks and his dark supporters, because I really don't think Biden is the issue here.
No.
He's just a sorry man that's a puppet to him.
He's a puppet,
Absolutely. I think that this might come out sooner. Information, verification of the cheating, a verification of what was done against Trump, and also other Republican senators and congressmen and women. So I don't think that they'll take it right to the end. But I can tell you this, if they do, because it's really all about timing, the right timing, that which will provide the optimal effect. And if that's the point, that it can have the biggest effect, then fine. But I think they'll be bringing out information well before that.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I gotta say, Will, because when I heard that, it was worrisome to me. It's like, really? That's what he's up, but they didn't say that was what he was up to.
No, that was one man.
It was one man whose opinion was, and there's so many people out there making these, big sweeping opinions about what Trump's gonna do.
Yeah, and how he's going to concede because he can't possibly win. I mean, why would this man who's stuck in for 4 years fold now just because people are saying you should concede.
Yeah, and the mainstream media just has this mantra, and it's almost like they're trying to just take over the whole election process. It's absolutely unbelievable, frankly.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you think of it as maybe this is the big awakening Donald Trump and crew have been talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not just the big awakening of America to the corruption that exists.
Yeah.
This is the awakening of humanity.
Yeah.
That's why I say I take a spiritual view on it to give the bigger picture, the overview.
Yeah.
And in my sense of it, in my channeling about it, it always tells me and shares with my members that this is our role.
Yeah.
That we are here not by accident. Every one of us has chosen this time to be born.
Yeah.
And that includes all the unenlightened ones, because they're living through something, and maybe they'll go through a shock beyond shocks when things go kaboom.
Yeah.
And they'll have to get through it that
way. They will go
way.
kaboom, won't they?
I think so.
Yeah, it's going to get sort of scary in the next. I always pick up maybe by mid-December. It's going to be like people are starting to really wake up en masse, whether they like it or not, is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I was also getting, there may be, and I called it a galactic intervention of some kind. What are your thoughts on otherworldly energies being involved here?
I think they are.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've long been aware of is the extraterrestrial intervention. There are many planets, Andromeda systems, actually, more than just planets, and the Pleiadians, and my favorite, the Arcturians. And you can go on and on.
Yep.
And there's that which is called the Confederation of the Light. Okay. Now, my thinking is this: they're not going to come down to do it for us. Because we have to learn. One of the reasons that Trump and crew have done it this way, and he said it, they've said it, you've heard it many times, they needed to show the American people and the global populace that there is something happening here.
Yeah.
A little bit heavy with that, but I'll go light.
That's the nice way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Go light.
Yeah, go light. Okay.
So I do think that something is about to happen, and there could be extraterrestrial intervention or assistance, because we've got to remember these ones are here not simply because they want to change things for themselves. What we're doing on this planet, what the Dark Cabal is doing and has been doing for thousands of years, is affecting the course and destiny of humanity. And now they've gotten it to a point where their plans, it's written on the Georgia Guidestones, to eliminate almost 7 billion people or more.
And it's interesting that part of their ritual, it seems, is to lay all their plans out and assume that nobody doing anything about it, I guess, is their nod.
Yes.
Because apparently that the ritual esoterically around this deep, dark cult is to need to be sort of transparent in some way and give a signal. And then we're agreeing somehow. And when we don't agree, we need to all stand up and say no to this.
And that's how they work. I understand that actually they are required to give warning.
Yeah.
It's not just about ritual, but they do a lot of ritual.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that they are required to give some kind of warning. So they stick something in the back page of a paper, New York Times or something.
Exactly.
Where nobody's ever going to see it. Or they put out films about this. You've been talking about it recently. Where
the programming, predictive programming.
Exactly. And then they step back and they go, we told you, we warned you, we said it.
Yeah.
And that's their biggest Achilles heel. They have underestimated humanity. They have underestimated the spiritual movement. I do believe divine source, my term for it, is part of this intervention. I think it has decided and said, enough. We're not going to let this happen to the children anymore. And you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
We're not going to let women be treated the way they are. And I'm not just talking women's rights. I'm talking about breeding factories and things like that.
Unbelievable.
The
divine feminine is so dishonored by this group. Like, and there may be more than just the one group, but sort of the collective of the dark, what I call the dark cult and the deep state. I find that they're one and the same.
They are. There's many terms. I won't say them because
we can't say them.
But there are many, and they seem to change names every once in a while. The big switch was to the deep state.
Yeah.
And that always has not bothered me, but it's like, that's so soft.
Yeah, it is pretty soft.
What it really is so dark.
Exactly.
And it's the deep state.
Oh, yeah. Ashley and I call it the dastardly dark cult. Not trying to make light, but sometimes you need a bit of a laugh. Like, this has been a very tough year, Will. I don't know if you found it so, but...
Oh, no, I didn't find it hard. I mean, I just moved back from Australia after living there for 8 years. And the first day back was the only bit of summer I got. And it snowed.
And right into Calgary's winter.
Exactly.
Yikes. Yeah.
No, it's been a good journey, even with the challenges. And the sense and feeling, we're only at the threshold of something amazing that's coming down, that's about to occur. We might have to go down through the energies of the lightning struck tower. The regime, the old way, might have to come down. But I always thought with the tower card, the real trick to the tower card is not to be in the tower.
Exactly. Don't be in the tower. Yeah.
Exactly. You can see things that are being presented, so get the heck out of the tower.
Yeah.
And then when it comes down and you clear it up, you can build a new tower.
Yeah.
I used the Arthurian deck when I was a reader. And what the tower showed was a small little tower and then this big conical tower rising up. Instead of the old tower.
Right.
So the old has to come out and come down so that we can replace it with the new. And that which is new and bright ahead of us is quite amazing, I think, you know.
And a lot of people are talking about what it could look like in the future. Like, as far as there's all these words being thrown around, like Jasara, Nasara, that's around the financial aspect of it. And the word reset, now that's almost been stolen by the dark energies, because they've got their own version of reset that's really scary, frankly.
Very scary.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to use that word because words are so important. I'm going to say the rebirth of humanity in the free agents that we're meant to be, and the true essence of what we're meant to be, which is creative love, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is it. You know, if you think about it, the old regime, that which is coming out, which was patriarchal, dishonored the feminine. I'm very much into the matriarchal goddess. That is ending. I just heard some astrologer talk about it the other day. And he also mentioned the Kali Yuga was ending, a 26,000 year cycle, the paternal, patriarchal rather, and a few other things. And this is so evident when you observe things. Things are starting to fall apart. I don't care how much the mainstream fake news people are trying to spin a different story on it.
Exactly.
They won't be able to keep it shut down forever.
No. Now, every time I channel with the cards, Trump and his energy, well, not every time, but often, the Empress comes up, which I found fascinating. And when I did past life readings on him, he came up as a woman in all of his past lives, which is interesting. So I don't know.
I think there's several past lives where he's feminine, and he was probably women like Cleopatra and everything, because you know he would be in a powerful position. I have also picked up that he has had male lives, such as Louis XIV.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Who was the Sun King. And what does Donald Trump remind you of sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And even his coloring.
Even his coloring, yes.
And he seems to like to at least lay in a sunbed or something, because he's got the coloring of somebody who might tan.
That's right.
On a regular basis.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure, because it's so for all of us, we've had many other lifetimes. And I have a different theory on that. I'm not thinking I was that person. But I think from my soul group, the one I emanate from, that person came in and played a role or had that life. Goes back in the soul, but we're connected. So another life lived by another aspect of your own soul group is still kind of you.
Right.
But it's not me. I didn't do some of the things that others in my soul group did.
Okay.
But I might have come in this life to help balance that.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back to the soul that harmony that's supposed to exist.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe we have all been good and evil.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You know,
I absolutely agree. Something I tell clients often is, in order to be a compassionate, truly evolved, loving soul, or human actually, you need to have been everything, because you can't know what not to do until you tried it and lived through the karma that creates itself through lifetimes. You have to work through and balance all of the karma from negative actions. And I believe you would become compassionate through that work. So you would have been good, bad, and ugly.
Exactly.
Your past lives,
in between as well. And that's why with Biden, I'm not a fan of his. I cannot say that, or what the Democrats are trying to do with it all. But I have a sense of, well, I've been there, so I can't completely condemn him. So I try to do it, and I heard you speak of this the other day. I do it through love. It's like he'll still have to answer for whatever he's been involved in. And I'm not just talking about the election now. I'm talking his other crimes.
Yes, absolutely.
Or alleged other crimes. Because that still has to come out, so to speak, for the mainstream. But why hate him? Why cause him, or cause in your own life a, how can you say it? It's like giving him too much power.
Exactly.
It's
I agree.
He had a role to play. So do we. You know? So from that point of view, well, this is a turning point for humanity. An incredible turning point that's going to happen in the next month or two. And you've spoken also about the 21st of December. What
are your thoughts on that date?
I do think that there will be a flowing through of the galactic energies. And I think it's going to be one of those monumental points that we will be able to see things more clearly. Maybe an expose of something coming up. Or just the continual expose that's happening right now will build till that crescendo moment on the 21st. But we still have to choose. We can still be blind to it, put the blinders on and close our eyes. Or we can say, it's time to look at this. Because this is hurting us now. Can you imagine how it's going to be if by the 21st of December we're still locked down?
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to think about it.
No. So
yikes.
Don't think about it, but we put out the positive energies that this is going to be revealed for what it is.
And if everybody collectively, starts a mantra daily, that's what I like to work with, is mantras that allows and opens up and assumes that people will open their eyes and will choose, to go with the light, almost like go to the light instead of continue on the dark path, like Ashley and I were talking about with the deep dive. There's those different, almost like timelines or paths or veins you could go down. And if we all just consciously, assume that we're going to open up our eyes in time, and even the blinded members of our family, because Will and I were talking on the way over, and it's like we both got members in the family, and and it's hard to work with because you love those people, but they don't see it. They just don't see it. And if we all just believe they could instead of be distraught that they aren't, that really helps. At least that's the way I look at it.
And the irony, as you are aware, is that I'm legally blind. And
it's hard to tell, but
it's hard to tell. It's not hard to tell from this side.
Okay.
But with that, it's like there are none so blind than those who will not see. And sure, physically I'm challenged, but with the inner sight, things are being opened up, exposed, brought to me. So I can say the gift of such a dilemma was being blind, is that I have developed my inner sight and my spiritual sight as well. So I do have a mantra that I would like to share with your audience.
And you.
Good. And it's an interesting one because it is one that cosmic awareness brought out a few years ago.
Okay.
And it has been given to our members at Rainbow Phoenix. And it is this, and you are familiar with the saying, I am that I am.
Yes.
Well, awareness kind of said there's a missing step there.
Okay.
And so it presented this mantra, I am the I am that I am.
I am the I am that I am.
Yeah.
The I am. So what does that change in your mind?
It puts it from this observation that I am that I am. Okay. Now it's saying you are the man or woman. You are the I am. And it's spoken 3 times. So it's 3 times I am, I am, I am. So we're talking 3 times 3, which is 9, which is always numerically a complete set.
Yep. And spirit, essence.
That's right. And what I've found and what members have said about using it is it opens up their facility to understand who they are in a greater context.
Wow.
In a spiritual context.
Wow.
So I just wanted to share that with your audience.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Will. I think we're going to save, we're going to hope Will come back on the show. And, well, I won't put you on the spot.
We'll
chat about it later.
I'd love to. At least I don't have to come all the way from Australia.
No, you don't. No, he's right here. And, we're going to save some conversations for another time. But it was wonderful to have you, Will.
It was a pleasure.
And I'm sure my viewing audience would agree that we got a little more enlightened. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janine.